I'm Emily Rooney. Welcome to Beat the Press. Our topics: town selectmen in Newtown are asking the media to stay away on tomorrow's anniversary. Will they comply? The Boston Globe comes down hard on Gaming Commissioner Steve Crosby, but its editorial pages lighten up. And Forbes magazine under fire for printing the story of a Bitcoin-driven assassination website. And our panel rants and raves of the week. Joining me are Dan Kennedy of Northeastern University, along with a roster of WGBH All-Stars, Callie Crossley, host of Under the Radar, Marjorie Egan, co-host of Boston Public Radio, who is also a Boston Herald columnist, and political reporter Adam Riley. First, anniversaries are regular fodder for news organizations. September 11th always gets recognition, and of course, we just acknowledged the 50th anniversary of the assassination of JFK. But tomorrow's first anniversary of the deadly shootings in Newtown, Connecticut comes with a twist. The media is being asked to stay away. This week, the families of those killed in last year's Sandy Hook mass shooting held several public gatherings, acknowledging that the world has mourned with them.
We have been overwhelmed by the outpouring of kindness, love, prayers, generosity received from the entire world. To simply say thank you is not enough.
The families launched a website, mysandyhookfamily.org, where people can post notes and learn more about the 20 children and 6 adults who died that day.
We'll be lighting a candle on the eve of 12/14, the last night we spent with our sweet Charlotte.
With the anniversary approaching, several families also granted interviews.
He said, "Can you show me something on the piano?" And so I showed him how to play Jingle Bells. I was looking at his little hands thinking how cute they were. And, he did. He did it very well.
Tomorrow, though, December 14th, the actual date of the horrific crime, town officials are asking the media to stay away.
The community needs time to be alone and to reflect on our past year in personal ways without a camera or a microphone, and respectfully request that you allow us a time of peace and quiet.
They can respectfully request that, but not everyone will comply. CNN, ABC, and NBC say they will skip a physical presence in Newtown.
Many in Newtown have asked for privacy, so we're not there this morning.
CBS plans to be there, so too the Associated Press.
But on the day the tapes were released, this sign was put up on a telephone pole in Newtown, Connecticut.
Last week, some townspeople were upset that the media pressed for the release of 911 calls made from Sandy Hook School. Many outlets aired them. Many did not. Like tomorrow's coverage, it's a matter of judgment. I actually think it's interesting that as many news organizations are agreeing to this, but you can't take away the fact that many of them have been doing these wind-up to the anniversary. Anyway, Anderson Cooper had a series of really beautiful interviews with the families. And Marjorie and I have had this discussion many times. Oftentimes, people who have been struck by this kind of tragedy and violence want to speak. So I thought it was a little odd that the selectmen are speaking for the entire town, the entire community, because sometimes, even on the day, people want to express something to the greater world.
Well, I think one of the things about Newtown, because I was down there last year for the Herald, is this little section, Sandy Hook, is so tiny. And this place where the school was is this one little narrow road. And it was a mob scene. The church parking lot was full. It was like the O.J. Simpson trial, practically, in terms of this huge media presence. And you were just bumping into reporters everywhere you went. So I get, from the selectmen's perspective, their idea is we're going to be overrun by all these people again. But, you know, the reporters that were there, a lot of them have the phone numbers and the emails of the family. So they can call them and email them, as Anderson Cooper did. And if they want to talk, they want to talk. If they don't want to talk, I don't think anybody should worry that reporters are going to descend tomorrow, be knocking in all these families' doors and say, "Can I talk to you about your tragic situation here?" So I'm of two minds. I get the mad mob scene, but I think it's interesting too. One last thing that we are doing for them what we might not do for a lot of other people. The people in Newtown are fairly well educated. They're fairly well off. It's interesting that we're acquiescing to them. I don't think we might acquiesce to a situation in a less privileged part of the country.
But I can't, it's an interesting question, but I can't think of another analogous request to this. And I actually kind of think when you said that you know, we're not going to see a mob scene. We're not going to see reporters overrunning the town and knocking on doors, you know, willy-nilly. I think we might have seen that if this request had not been publicly made. I mean, we in the media love anniversaries. We love anniversary coverage. And I think, you know, I wasn't down there. I'm actually really glad I wasn't down there. It wouldn't surprise me if the scene that you described seeing right after the shootings had been replicated if the selectmen hadn't said, please keep your distance.
Middletown, Colorado, and by the way, there was another shooting in Centennial, Colorado this afternoon, another school shooting. There was an anniversary there, too, and of course people came out, and a lot of people spoke on that anniversary.
But the community itself, they can speak publicly, they can sort of engage in a contained healing process or healing ritual if they want to do that with each other. They don't need us there to facilitate it. That's my take on it.
Well, my take is that I agree with you that there were going to be lots of boobs running around doing really inappropriate stuff. There just were, you know, and they would have been shielded by the more quote-unquote respectable media that is allowing this. Here's what I think. I think they've handled the media very well. They came out and offered several public opportunities for media. The ones that wanted to talk reached out. Those reporters that reached out to others who hadn't shown themselves were given a yes or a no, and they went with that. There's been a lot of coverage this week. Yeah. So they really, in doing so, they knew what they were doing. That was really going to tamp down the interest of physically being there on Saturday. However, I saw a story yesterday with the guy who the church became like a gathering place. He's doing a big thing there, and they're unveiling something. So, see, some media is going to come just for that. Yeah. But be that as it may, I think that it's not a bad thing for people to say, hey, we got enough, and we'll stay a respectful distance. I appreciate that. One more thing about the 911 calls. I think there has to be a distinction, and there was made one, to these families that was public information that needed to be a part of the record, and we understand that it is extremely painful. I wouldn't want my family stuff out there, I'll say that, but I understand why it needed to be.
But that might have given them even more trepidation about the anniversary.
Exactly.
Because that just came out last week.
It might have. And, you know, the fact that this is a well-educated community that is able to advocate for itself, good for them. I mean, they're able to articulate exactly the reasons that they don't want media hordes descending on themselves, and people in the media can take that into account. I think it's kind of, maybe the practicalities of this wouldn't work, but I kind of wish that there was some way of putting together a media pool so that you'd have a fairly small contingent of media there, print, broadcast, whatever, and not have hundreds of reporters running around, but you still are able to have a media presence in there on the day of the anniversary and cover it and move on.
You know, if we can do that when the president goes on vacation in Martha's Vineyard, should be able to do it in a situation like